church cannot serve both God and Caesar. When it becomes the mouthpiece of the state, it betrays the gospel. Its sole loyalty is to the eternal law of conscience and the will of God. This is by Reverend John Haynes Holmes.
I'm gonna lay down my heavy load down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the river. I'm gonna lay down my heavy load down by the riverside and sleep no more. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no Good afternoon. Welcome. It is so good to be with all of you today. We are taking on the very difficult subject of the seduction of empire. Today seems like as good a day as any to cover that subject. Let us begin. There is too much beauty in this world to give up on it yet. And it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. Bring your doubt, bring your skepticism, your downright confusion, even your bitterness. But in the midst of all of these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around that bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that steady hunger for something more, the vision we glimpse every day. For this hour we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, and to steady ourselves, keepers of hope, brave builders of a world that is still possible. Please rise in body or in spirit. Let's sing together, Fire of Commitment. You have hymnals if you want to use them, or the words are in your program for people who prefer that.
Please join me in singing our chalice lighting. Are in your program, spoken words. We light the chalice, the fire that guides and unites our church, kindling the flame of love that burns at the center of our faith. Join me in our unison affirmation. Unto the Church Universal, which is a depository of all ancient wisdom and the school of all modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets a harmony, in all scriptures a unity, and through all dispensations a continuity, which abjures all that separates and divides, and always magnifies humanity and peace, which seeks truth in freedom, justice in love, and individual discipline in social duty, and which shall make of all persons one beloved community. Unto this church and unto all its members, known and unknown throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hands and hearts. Friends, we greet each other on Sundays as part of our liturgy. We turn to our neighbor, whether they are strangers, new friends, old friends. We welcome them into this, our shared space. It's our way of saying our spiritual path is communal, it's relational, and we are certainly in this together. Not just friendly, it's actually how we ground ourselves in this space with each other. Please take a moment and greet your neighbor.
We're going to find our seats, and you're going to ignore your program, and we're going to sing our children out in a whole new, fancy way. The children will make their way to their classes. Children and teenagers and almost adults will make their way.
This is our new Singing the Children Out tradition, starting today. We are marching in the light of God. Sing it with us. 1, 2, 2.
So the last stage of our gathering is a reflection on the moment. Before I do that, I forgot to note that some children will go to their classes and some children will stay here. And sometimes when children stay here, they cry or they scream or they run around. And we, as a multi-generational church, are thrilled for them to do that. We not only don't complain, we say thank you for being your whole self, which is what we say to each other all the time. So, if we're reflecting on the moment, the thing that we all came in thinking about, maybe holding on to, maybe wishing we could let go of, might just be the assassination of a white supremacist. Is anyone else thinking about that today? Anyone else thinking about that this week? The thing we need to let go of? Political violence? Polarization? Maybe the hate in our own hearts? Maybe the hate coming at us from outside, from inside, from around us. Is anyone else feeling that? Anyone else want to let go of the hate? Anyone else feeling the violence? Anyone else feeling anxious and a need to breathe? We've been doing this all morning, breathing deeply in and letting it go. Because we are in a moment in this country and we are feeling it. And so as we shift from the gathering into our prayer space, compartmentalize, let's try for a moment to let it go. And we breathe. We'll have a moment of silence. Maybe we breathe deeply in and we slowly let it go. Spirit of life, Mother of earth, God of the sun and stars, we pray in gratitude, always in gratitude for the beauty of our lives, for the fullness of our loves, for the gift of being human on this gorgeous planet, in this breathtaking city. We begin in gratitude, but we know our hearts are also heavy. Spirit of life, Mother of earth, God of the sun and stars, we are afraid today. We are a people breaking apart, a nation under stress. We are angry and sad, and sometimes we feel lost. Our hearts are broken by the violence in our streets, in our schools, on our screens, and sometimes in our own thoughts. May we find leaders to follow into a new age of peace, and may generosity become our national watchword and empathy our collective prayer. We are holding in love all the people grieving, especially those mourning the loss of children killed at school in Colorado. We are holding in love all the people grieving, especially those torn from their homes and communities in callous and cruel ICE raids. We are holding in love all the people grieving, especially those suffering under the weight of war, like the people of Ukraine, Sudan, and Palestine. We are holding in love all the people grieving, especially those living in profound poverty in Somalia, Yemen, and on our city streets. Spirit of life, Mother of earth, God of the sun and stars, wrap yourself around all in your suffering, and may we too become your arms of compassion. In the spirit of hope and love and community, please join us in lighting a candle for your own intentions. if I can get it in. In the spirit of hope and love and community, in the spirit of all those we lost on September 11th, we pray, dear Spirit of Life, Mother of Earth, God of the sun and stars, in gratitude for all we have and all that we are, on this and every day with this and every breath. Amen. We have a wisdom story in 2 parts.
Our wisdom story for this afternoon is written by Reverend Dietrich Bonhoeffer in his 1933 essay, The Jewish Question. There are 3 possible ways in which the church can act toward the state. In the first place, it can ask the state whether its actions are legitimate and in accordance with its character as state. For example, it can throw the state back on its responsibility. Secondly, it can aid the victims of state action. It has an unconditional obligation to the victims of any ordering of society, even if they do not belong to the Christian community. Do good to all men. In both these courses of action, the church serves the free state in which law and order are maintained. But in the third place, the church has an indirect action vis-a-vis the state, in that it is not just to bandage the victims under the wheel, but to jam a spoke in the wheel itself.
Albert Owen Franklin Fisher was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1906. Frank, as he was known, or sometimes Al, by 1930 had enrolled at Union Theological Seminary and was completing his field education placement at the Abyssinian Baptist Church the next year in Harlem in 1931, where he also taught Sunday school. Frank Fisher was a part of what was later referred to as the Great Migration and Harlem Renaissance, which at the time was known by its adherents and followers as the New Negro Movement. The name comes from a collection of essays by Alan Watts that I highly recommend. A sense of hope at the possibilities of black life spread across the country through the North, but nowhere was it expressed as beautifully, vibrantly, prophetically as in Harlem in the 1930s. Imagine Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Duke Ellington, Bessie Smith, Ella Fitzgerald, Augusta Savage, Bruce Nugent, crossing elbows walking down the street, just changing the world. The Abyssinian Baptist Church, led by the prophetic witness of Adam Clayton Powell Sr., had grown in size to more than 13,000 members. And I double-checked that number a few times because that's a large number, 13,000 members, making it the largest Baptist church in the country at the time, the largest Baptist church in the world, and the largest African-American church in New York City. Central to the New Negro movement in Harlem was the church, and the theological movement known there was the Black social gospel. While at Union Theological Seminary, Frank met a young German theologian by the name of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was quickly disillusioned by what he called the best of white liberal American Protestant theology and liberal religious practice. He said in his words, he found it pallid, soulless, antiquated, and ineffectual. Enter Frank Fisher. He brought Dietrich up to Harlem. When I hear Bonhoeffer in this passage talk about the responsibilities of the church to the state and its victims, about our responsibility to dismantle the structures that bind us, I also hear the prophetic witness of Adam Clayton Powell Sr., and if these words inspire you, consider spending more time with his writings as well. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was not transformed by the people at Union Theological Seminary, and this passage was written in 1933. No, he was not transformed by the people who wrote the books he read there, or by the famous people in the paintings that they talked about. Bonhoeffer was transformed by New York City, by the songs and the preaching and the religion of black people he encountered here. If Bonhoeffer's words move you, that is because he himself was so moved by what he learned here that he preached it until he was killed for it. Here ends our wisdom story.
Jesus was executed as a criminal after a public trial, nailed to a cross on top of a very visible hill. He was convicted of the crime of sedition. He was a traitor to the empire. All Jews were in danger of this crime because the emperor was considered part God, a God the Jewish people didn't recognize. To deny the divinity of the emperor was treason. Jesus was a traitor to his king. For the next 3 centuries, Christians joined the Jews as suspicious actors. Pagans held the seat of power. Civic activities started with prayer or ritual in honor of the emperor god. Jews and Christians refused to participate in those rituals, making them ineligible for positions of authority, government jobs, military service, or any political leadership. The state and their system of belief were inseparable, and those with a different belief had no access. Worse, they were traitors. They were criminals. They were a danger to the people, the king, the empire, and so, in waves through those centuries, they were arrested, charged, executed. They were brought to the arenas where they were attacked by lions and tigers to the cheers of crowds. There are reports of children and pregnant women being mauled with the sounds of applause around them. In the year 311, there was an internal power struggle, and Constantine needed an army. Most people were pledged to his rivals, so he made a deal. If the Christians would fight on his behalf, and if he won, he'd make Rome a Christian empire. They did, he did, we entered a new age. Before that, Christianity was practiced in people's homes, in catacombs beneath the city, or in small private chapels. It was centered on communal love, on the sharing of resources, on community care. It was literally underground, a secret religion, a subversive countercultural movement committed to egalitarian social structures and radical love. And participation was an act of treason, punishable by death. So hell yes, Mr. Constantine. Legitimacy sounds really good. You want to institutionalize love, bring it to the mainstream? God is answering our prayer. We are in. They won, and the rest is history. Christianity became the way of the empire. Those relationships merged so profoundly, there was no way to tell the difference between church and state. They were one and the same. Belief was dictated by people in power. Emperors, royals, political leaders decided what the people believed, and they appointed clergy, theologians, ministers, other practitioners to be the people on the ground. Disagreeing in even the smallest ways was a crime, with varying degrees of punishment, from public humiliation to imprisonment to death. When the Protestant Reformation broke out 1,200 years after Constantine's victory, the radical changes sweeping Europe weren't entirely about personal belief, but about national power. There were significant theological underpinnings to everything that happened, but the massive cultural transformation was the result of a new national consciousness. Individual leaders were convinced of a new way and shifted their own nations from the Catholicism of their ancestors to a new Christianity made manifest in their own cultural and political contexts. Church and state were still one and the same thing. Taxes were levied to support churches. Coronations were religious affairs. There was still very little daylight between the two. As part of the Reformation, there were a few fits and starts around Europe, attempts to disentangle church and state, or to widen the lens through which we understood the relationship. But it's not until the founding of this country did the concept get enough room to live into its potential. When the original colonies were founded, each had a sponsor and a reason for being, and each established a religion of the land. in relationship to the landowners in Europe. Roman Catholics started Florida, Anglicans started Virginia, Congregationalists took Massachusetts, Rhode Island and Connecticut were founded after theological disputes. Aside from New York, every colony had their theology and their established church. Taxes were collected to serve owners, the crown, and the clergy. This is my favorite fun fact about this. Most often, clergy were paid off of a tax on tobacco, which actually means that if you all smoke a lot, I make more money. The relationship between church and state was controversial in a land that was trying to promote freedom of thought. With so much space, with the Enlightenment taking hold, surely we can disestablish the church, letting each one stand alone without the support of government. And the Puritans in particular thought the state is messy. The work of the government is fraught and potentially corrupt. It always involves compromise, a stepping back from your values, and often sucks people in with the allure of power, carrying them further and further from the purity of the church. They don't want your yuck on their young. Thus, the First Amendment in the Constitution, the clause that reads, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." Establishment, in this case, doesn't simply refer to founding a church, but of allowing any church to become established, to become intertwined in the state, to be the state church, like, for instance, the Church of England or the Roman Catholic Church, both implicated in their names. These new United States will be free of any established church, at least as far as the federal government goes. It was actually another 4 decades before individual states disestablished churches, with the Congregationalists in Massachusetts being the last to go in 1833. In 1954, I am having a little, I'm really sorry. I'm going to pause for a second because for the first time, I'm having a technical problem. Let's try this again. 1954, that's where we left off. Then Senator Lyndon B. Johnson proposed a soon adopted provision in the tax code that prohibits tax-exempt organizations like churches from directly or indirectly participating in or intervening in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for public office. So it doesn't affect speech regarding social issues, voter information campaigns, or public statements about laws either in effect or debated. But if John Haynes Holmes had endorsed Roosevelt from the pulpit today, as he did way back then, we would be in trouble. Johnson proposed this change because there were 2 nonprofits in Texas collecting tax-deductible donations from their members and using that money to actively campaign against him. So churches were not the target of this provision, and they were rarely mentioned in any enforcement of it. In fact, until the rise of the religious right in the 80s, this amendment was barely noticed. But in the 80s, evangelical preachers wanted to tell their congregations which candidate did or didn't live by what they were calling biblical values. And they argued that the Johnson Amendment curtailed their freedom of speech. The IRS would occasionally issue warnings telling them to stop, not to get so close to that line, and it led to the right claiming government overreach. By 2008, the religious right was so frustrated by the limitation, they declared Pulpit Freedom Sunday, during which they endorsed candidates. I'm going to say it again. It was 2008. Does anyone remember who was on the ballot? This is when they decided it was time. They could no longer be quiet They were daring the IRS to challenge them. They were ready for a fight. And I'm going to tell you, I wasn't entirely sure they were wrong. Isn't it fair for a church to want to know who their minister is voting for? Isn't it fair for someone like me to tell people about racist dog whistles, like show us your birth certificate, and why I won't support it, and even how it stands in opposition to our beliefs? I want to name names. And when we have a candidate who's clearly going to round people up because of their browner than tan skin and deport them to torture prisons or into war zones, can I tell people not to vote for that? You have free will. You don't have to, and frankly, you almost never do, listen to what I'm telling you to do. So I'm not buying your vote, which it turns out is suddenly also okay. But here's where this gets sticky. How closely associated with the state should the church be? Should we partner with a political campaign to get our person in office? Is that different from the Christian bishops in 325 climbing into Constantine's cushy carriages, heading to a council to make religious/state policy? What's the benefit of separation? Empire is seductive. So much power, with so much money. I can hear her whisper in my ear, promising me fame and fortune. My values become everyone's values, enshrined in law, enforced by the state. It's delicious. And so helpful to our nation. We're in a massive moral crisis. We could use some ethical clarity, some clerical voices to break through and lead us away from the corruption that has penetrated the entire executive branch and much of the judicial and legislative as well. We need our clergy to tell us how to untangle this deadly knot. We're desperate for authentic leadership. And the IRS this summer, they changed their rules and told us it's fine. No more Johnson Amendment. I can endorse any candidate and it won't put our nonprofit status in jeopardy. So why not? In 1917, former President of the United States, Howard Taft, was serving as president of the American Unitarian Association. My predecessor, Reverend John Haynes Holmes, an avowed pacifist, had been charged with the creation of a statement that was supposed to articulate our denomination's support of the war we now call World War I, which the nation had just entered. Holmes and Taft had clashed over this issue publicly several times, as did Holmes and President Woodrow Wilson. Holmes's proposal for our national statement included a resolution affirming both conscientious support and or conscientious objection to this war, establishing the right of Unitarians to either support or refuse. Taft declared Holmes unpatriotic and said the proposal was treasonable. The conference upheld Taft's resolution to support the war wholeheartedly. Holmes, and later our beloved church, left the Unitarian Association entirely. Church versus state. Church and state. Church with state. Are we instruments of state, partners with state, or are we distinct from state? Taft went on to become the only person in our history to hold the offices of both presidency and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Power was his, as was wealth. Holmes remained Minister of Community Church of New York, leaving him with very little money and a voice that has largely been forgotten. In a contest for the most toys, Taft won. In a contest of morality, Holmes beat Taft hands down. Taft was standing for the state, Holmes for the church. Taft was calling the church to serve the state. Holmes was calling his colleague and the entire denomination not to serve state, but to be its conscience. The proper role of church in relationship to state is not partner, but prophet. We don't endorse candidates not because it's manipulative or in violation of some tax code. We don't endorse candidates because we are called to stand apart, to critique, to become outside voices of justice, to entice the state toward morality. And if ever outside voices of conscience were needed, it's now. Our nation is fractured, vulnerable, weak with anger and suspicion. And our government has aligned with one brand of Christianity, creating a dragon born of power and performative piety, breathing enough fire to set us all ablaze. So I stand before you not in support of the current Republican administration or ethos, and not in support of Democrats, but in support of our shared faith. A faith that tells me pluralism, equity, and empathy are worthy of my devotion, of my wholehearted, full-bodied endorsement. A faith that tells me that any policy, any government action that chooses the rich over the poor, the healthy over the sick, the privileged over the marginalized, or that intentionally withholds life-giving support, or encourages or even just allows violence in our streets or in our schools, is immoral and in opposition to everything I hold true. We are not instruments of state, but of love. We are the voices of love that will not be enticed into silence. We are the bodies of love that will not cease to act even with promises of power. We will not climb into the carriages of empire, comfortable as they may be. We are prophets of a new world, a world not yet, but one we will never stop calling into existence. There are no threats, there are no promises that will make this church or our beloved faith a chaplain to empire.
We pursuing peace? Yes. And love? And hope? Here we go. Come ye, he who would have peace. Hear me, hear what I say now. Oh, yes, I said, come ye, he who would have peace. It's time to learn how to pray. I said, come ye, he who have no fear of what of tomorrow will bring. I say, start praying for a better world of peace. say, come ye, who still have hope. That we can still survive now. Say, let's work together as we should, and fight, oh, fight to stay alive. Say, come ye, who would have love. It's time, do you believe it's time to take a stand? Oh, it's time to take a stand. For love and your fellow man. I say, come ye, oh, come ye. I say, come ye, those who would have faith. I say, come ye, oh, those who would have peace. I say, come ye, those who would have love. I say, come ye, those who would have peace. I say, come ye, oh, come ye. Say, come ye, oh, come ye. I say, come ye, oh, come ye.
We're going to close. I just want to point out to you that there's a huge number of things happening here at Community Church this week. Many of us are going to participate in the Jericho Walk on Thursday. You can see Connor for more information. We're running a fundraiser for our prison ministry, Work All Month. You can find out about that. You can also take a look at our monthly calendar on the Love in Action table. Let's take a breath. We live always at the crossroad between two worlds. One is a world that is, and the other is the world which might someday come to be. May we hold within us the strength and resilience to remember which is which, and not to settle for the one when with enough heart, enough struggle, enough persistence, we might have gained the other. Let's extinguish our chalice together. Send our light into the world where healing and hope are needed. Let us go in peace to love and serve this world and one another. It's good to be with you.